Pete. Hi everyone, I'm Dave, a recovered addict.
Hi Dave.
I use the word recovered because the big book tells me that if I do everything in the big book, it tells me on the title page that thousands of men and women have recovered from a hopeless state of alcoholism. And although alcohol wasn't really part of my problem, cannabis and cocaine certainly was. So it tells me in the book to try and describe in a brief way what it was like for me before, what I did and what it's like now. And today I know that I can sit here in the presence of my higher power, and that's an amazing feeling, despite whatever else is going on in my life. So yeah, to sort of describe briefly how it was, I was as a kid I was diagnosed with hyperactivity disorder. I drove my parents insane. Nothing was ever really enough for me. I was, now I understand through the big book, I was restless, irritable and discontent on a pretty much a permanent basis. I wanted what the kid next door had, I wanted what my sister had, I wanted what anybody else had. Whatever I had was never good enough, never enough for me. And I just thought that was a normal state of being. I thought that was just, every kid was like that, every kid wanted what everyone else had, And I went through my childhood like that up until I hit about 13 years old, and then my uncle married a Polish lady and she came back with some vodka. I thought it was a good idea to try some of that, not really understanding that Polish vodka is 90% proof. So after 3 glasses I was entirely smashed out of my face and puking everywhere. And I got a sense of ease and comfort for a brief moment from how I was feeling, and I liked it. I really, really liked it. And so I thought, I don't mind some of that. And so then I kept stealing bits of vodka from my mum's vodka bottle, and like most kids do, and going to the park. I got quite big quick, so by sort of 14 or 15, I could get served in the corner shops, and I could easily pick up a half a bottle of vodka, drink it. And that probably was. I was probably drinking more alcoholically than I realised, because I could pick up a half bottle of vodka 3 times a week, drink it, go home, make my dad a hot chocolate, my mum a coffee, and go to bed, and no one had even known I'd had a drink. But I didn't like being sick, so I never really smashed it through to blackout, very rarely, any of that kind of stuff. But when I hit 16 years old, I discovered cannabis, and wow, that changed my life. It talks about in Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous that we have arrived, and for me that was the moment. I started smoking that. I didn't smoke cigarettes, so I thought the best idea was to have blowbacks off it, because I don't smoke. So if I don't have to hold it in my hand and smoke it, then I'm not smoking. And so people would just give me blowbacks off joints. Unbeknown to me, that's twice as painful, gets you twice as stoned. But I loved it, and I quickly learned to roll. I quickly smoked it every day, and I had arrived. That those feelings of restlessness, irritable, discontent. I knew. 16 years old, I went to work, and as soon as I got home, the first thing I did was sneak off and have a joint, and the world felt a whole lot better when I did it. And I loved that feeling. And the rave scene came along. I started enjoying all the different party drugs. Having a whale of a time. No consequences. I could be up all weekend and just crash at 1 o'clock in the afternoon watching Italian football on Channel 4, and wake up at 7 in the morning and go to work, do a week's work, wake up, slowly wake up through the week, think, I'm going to do that again, and be back out there again at the weekend, getting smashed. But those times came and went. In that time I had a couple of relationships where I thought they were all at fault because it weren't working out, but when you're living with somebody who's constantly stoned, I'm sure their level of conversation is not particularly exciting. And, it was all their fault, but it was, I look back at it, I realise it was, a lot of it was to do with me and the way I was. And then, until my mid-20s, I discovered cocaine. And that was the thing for me, that was really hit it off. And so I would use cocaine at the weekends. It started to become in the week a little bit here and there as well. I continued to smoke as much cannabis as I possibly could. And then I got to a point where I was married, 2 children, and I wanted to stop. And I thought I was in control, and I had no idea. none whatsoever, that those substances were my master. You know, they had me. I had no defence against them. I had no way of saying no. I couldn't sit in a room where everyone else was doing cocaine and turn it down. And you know, it got to the point where it was not only would I do everyone else's, I had some hidden in my own pocket for me for later on when everyone else has gone to bed. I'm still going to keep going. And I realised that this couldn't continue in my life, and I wanted to stop. And I spent 2 or 3 years trying to stop on my own, trying different methods. I had a friend who's not in fellowship but has gone through recovery, who gave me advice about complete abstinence, don't drink, don't smoke. And I was like, fuck that, I need to keep smoking weed. I mean, I just want to stop doing coke. And it turned out he was exactly right on exactly how to do this stuff, funnily enough. He is 14 years clean and sober, so yeah, I guess he did know what he was talking about. And and then a year ago today, I had what I would basically describe as a nervous breakdown. I'd spent every penny that me and my wife had. There was no money in the bank, no money to pay bills, mortgages, money that was supposed to be finishing an extension that we were doing had vanished. And the consequences of everything I'd been doing just caught up with me in an immense way. And that day was the last day I used. And 3 days later, I bumped into my friend who asked me how I was. Obviously, I wasn't very good. He could kind of see that. And he told me the next day there's a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous in Bedford, 7:30. Get yourself there. These people have helped millions of people around the world. They know what they're talking about. I'm sure they can help you. And so I went to my first Cocaine Anonymous meeting, and I thought it was a bit of a stitch-up, if I'm perfectly honest. The geezer was sharing. He basically told my life story in 20 minutes. I was like, you're fucking taking the piss, man. This is a joke. And then he said he was 8 years clean and sober, and I thought, this is definitely a stitch-up. So, I mean, my mates rung these guys and told them that I'm coming, and like, he's got some geezer in who's going to say everything that I think I'm thinking. Then he's going to turn around and say that he's got a solution, and it's all good. But something happened in that meeting for me. I heard the solution. I heard the talk about, you need a higher power greater than yourself, and running on self-will will not suffice for people like us. And I identified myself probably for the first time openly as an addict at that meeting. And from there, things just changed rapidly. I went home and I prayed, which I'd never done before, except for say, when I was really fucked and I wanted God to kill me because I didn't want to go through another day like that, and then wake up in the morning pissed off because I was awake and I hadn't died, and I'd turn around and curse God for not killing me, and then I'd go through another day and the same shit would happen again. But in that meeting, I heard something. I heard a message, and I came to understand it. And then I came to a Monday night meeting the following week. Same group as here, but we were in a different place. And I heard it again, and people made me welcome, and I felt busted and broken, and people were nice to me, and they were welcoming, and all you crazy people had just come back from Ireland and were bouncing off the walls and the ceilings, and I was thinking, fucking hell, I need some of that, because they're not even on drugs. You know what I mean? How the fuck are they doing that? And so yeah, I started a journey in Cocaine Anonymous that I'm forever going to be grateful for. I'm never going to turn around and be someone that says I'm a grateful addict, because for me that's the same as saying if I'm grateful that I've got cancer or I've got some kind of other incurable disease. But I'm forever ever grateful that 80 odd years ago, two men started a fellowship that led to our fellowship. They provided us with a solution in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that we can follow today, and it works. It really, really does. I've been through birthdays, weddings, funerals, Christmas, New Year, all these other things that I know I would have got smashed out of my face on at any other given time. But today I don't do that, and that's because of this stuff. And the main reason is because I'm connected to that higher power greater than me. I get out there every night. I'm not very good at doing the stuff in the morning. I've got 2 children. At the minute they hear me stirring, they're like jumping all over me. But I make sure that I try and meditate every evening. I speak to my higher power, you know, every day. I've never missed a day in a whole year where I haven't spoke to my higher power. I haven't asked for guidance for what to do again the next day. I haven't, you know, tried to reconcile with what I've done that day. You know, have I been a wanker? Have I been selfish? Have I been dishonest? You know, and if I have, you know, do I need to make any amends for those things? But I try to practice the stuff around step 11 as much as I can throughout the entire day. You know, for me, it's not a question of like being a complete arsehole all day, going home, writing it all out, and then thinking, well, God will take that away, I can go and do that again tomorrow. For me, it's about, you know, being loving, tolerant and kind throughout the day as much as humanly possible. And that keeps me connected with a power greater than myself. And, you know, today I can sit here and, you know, I can sit here in a room full of people that, you know, most of you have had experiences like me, you think like me, you probably acted like me, you're just as mad as I am. And, you know, I'm comfortable. This is the most comfortable place I am in the world, sitting in a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. And, you know, that's a year ago I never expected to have any sensation of that kind of feeling ever again. You know, I felt worthless, busted, broken. And a year later, you know, I can take on things that I never thought I could deal with. You know, at home now my relationship's not gone very well. You know, a year ago that would have caused me to be out, spending thousands of pounds getting absolutely trashed. Today I just go outside and pray about it and ask for that higher power to take away any feelings I've got that are painful. And I trust and genuinely trust and have faith and believe that that higher power's got a plan for me. I might not like it right now, it might be quite painful, but you know, in the long run, I genuinely believe that something good will come of it. Because, you know, that higher power is not malevolent. It's not something that wants to hurt us. It only wants to help us and make us grow. So if you're new to the rooms and you want some of what you see other people in these rooms have got, you know, that, you know, sobriety, happiness, you know, happy, joy, free is what it tells us in the book. If you want some of that, then stick around. You know, get yourself a sponsor. Get into the big book with that sponsor, because they're armed with the facts. And if you're like they are, if you're like them, they know exactly what you're thinking most of the time, and they can help you work through that work and get you to a place where, you know, you can have a job, you know, have a life where you're, you know, happy, joyous, and free. You can go where you want. You can do what you want. You don't have to hide away from drink or drugs. You can be around people that are doing that stuff and not being in trouble. You know, I've had all those experiences in the last year, and it's an amazing, amazing feeling. So, you know, if you're here, stay here. You know, don't pop in and out. Come in, join us, stay here, because believe me, there is a life beyond your wildest dreams if you do. I'll leave it there.
Nice one, Dave.